Hi everyone, it's Eric, and today we'll be unboxing and reviewing the 1x1 portable Bluetooth speaker. A big thanks must go over to 1x1 for sending me this over to test and review. And before we get started, I'll just say if you want to buy one of these, first of all, watch my entire review, then you can actually click the link in the description and you can actually get a discount on this very speaker. Now, one thing you probably don't know about me is that I am actually quite obsessed with these Bluetooth speakers because I always use them with my computer setup when I'm watching movies, playing games, editing, and doing various things like that. The Innotek one, which was the first one I reviewed, it was great for movies, games, and TV shows, etc. But the Tautronics one that I reviewed, which was the second one, is actually better for movie viewing. To this day I still use them, so I'm very curious and keen to see how this one will match up to the other two. So let's take a look at the box. You see a quick look of the portable speaker, and this is a waterproof speaker, by the way. And at the back over here just gives you some of the specifications. Let's take a quick look. So it's got ultra bass booster, it's waterproof or water resistant, it says. You can't submerge it into water though, but a lot of water it can withstand. Bluetooth 4.0, 3.5mm jack. It has got a built-in microphone for calls, 1500 mAh battery. It's a rechargeable battery. You're supposed to get about 6 to 8 hours of battery life with this and 350 hours of standby time. So that looks all good. Right, so let's see what this thing looks like. Okay, so here's the Bluetooth speaker itself. Alright, so accessories. You got a 3.5mm jack to 3.5mm jack, so if you don't want to use the Bluetooth feature to pair this to your device, you can just hardwire it. And this is something that I recommend you do if you value battery life and you want to get more battery life out of this thing, because Bluetooth usually does take out more battery from them. And finally, over here, well, I say finally, let's lift this up. It looks like we've got some paperwork in here. Oh, very nice little cute user manual. And over here we've got a full-size USB to micro USB connector to actually charge the speaker. So, that's all good. Let's take a look at the actual speaker itself. It feels very rubbery. I think this will get a lot of fingerprints, which is not great, but the other ones I've got also kind of do that. Alright, now I can just tell that the texture on this definitely does feel waterproof. I don't think there's going to be... let's take a look inside. The grills you can just about see, but you can tell they're kind of covered, whereas compared to my other Bluetooth speakers where you can actually feel them. Sorry, not feel them, see them. They're visible. Now, one thing I'm going to do is that you have this strap so you can attach it to your wrist when you're out and about to keep it safe, but I'm not going to be using it outside, I'll be using it inside, so I want to take this thing out, because honestly otherwise it just makes the thing look ugly and it does not look good next to your computer. Alright, so what I'm going to do is go test this out, and then what I'll do is come back with you and give you a review and let you know what I think of this Bluetooth speaker. I'm back a mere 2 weeks later, although it's only 1 second to you guys. So, I've been using this for, as I said, about 2 weeks, and now it's time to give you my review on it. So, let's first talk about the design. I really do quite like the design. I really do like the textured feel on the front and on the back, and I like the fact that the ports are concealed. Now, it is really primarily a feature that you're supposed to use for the waterproofing feature, but I just like this little flap right here. It just makes the whole design seem seamless, and it's really quite nice and a refreshing change to not see the ports exposed usually. So yep, it's a very nice and clean design. However, I do have only one complaint, and that is this big fat logo that's been just slapped on the front of the device. I mean, seriously, I really don't like the way this is done. I mean, first of all, it's scaled abnormally large, especially for a Bluetooth speaker. All the previous Bluetooth speakers I reviewed, like the Innotek one, and even the one by Tautronics over here, you can see that the branding is minimal, and it, if anything, just makes it look better, especially with the Innotek one, as this is perfectly explaining right here. It just looks really quite nice, and it sort of like adds to the design, and I'm actually glad that they put the branding on the front of the device, whereas with this one, I just sort of like feel like let down by the design that this is actually on the front. It really is just ugly to look at, and I really want this logo to be dropped in size, because it is just way too big, especially this one over here. So overall the design is great, but the logo on the front is overly large. Alright, next thing we're going to move on to is arguably the most important thing of a Bluetooth speaker. What is the sound like that it produces? Well, the sound to me has just been okay, and I'm pretty certain that's been expected when you take into account that this is a budget Bluetooth speaker. The sound, well, The best way for me to describe it is that it has absolutely no bass, which means that you're just listening to a lot of flat audio that it comes out of this thing. And when you take into account that this is actually advertised as having enhanced bass, it is really quite disappointing. I don't think there's any bass coming out of this at all. It's also not a good sign that this does not vibrate at all when it's actually playing back audio, especially when you take into account this is a rubber device. All these rubber Bluetooth speakers really do like to vibrate on your desk, but this one just does not. That being said, I would say the sound on this is good if you're watching YouTube videos. Everything else is just really underwhelming. Now, if you look at the top, you've got controls over here. You've got a power button, a play button, and a volume up and down button. Now, this is my next bad point. These two buttons over here, the volume up and down, they are absolutely useless. Now, for obvious reasons, you're going to want to connect this to your phone, but you'll also want to connect it to, say, stuff like your laptop, or, say, a console, like I have a PlayStation 4, which I've been using this with. Now, the problem with this is that this speaker keeps its volume at 100% by default. Now, I know what you're thinking, why not just decrease the volume if it's at 100%? Well, these things don't do jack. The volume is only controlled by whatever you pair this to. So if you pair this to your phone, if you press these volume up and down buttons, it'll only drop the volume of your phone. It's supposed to drop its own volume, but it doesn't do that. And that really does make no sense, because Bluetooth speakers usually have their own volume you can adjust, and then you can further adjust the volume even more on your smartphone or device that you connect it to. Now here's the deal breaker right here. I connected this to my laptop, and all the previous Bluetooth speakers I've had, if I want to adjust the volume, I just simply press the volume up and down buttons. But when you connect this to your laptop, your computer, rightfully so, says that you can't adjust the volume, so you need to use this. But as I said, these don't work, so everything you're listening to is really loud as a result, and since this is a budget Bluetooth speaker, if you put the volume at 100%, it's going to start distorting a lot, as these budget Bluetooth speakers do. So the only way I've found to sort of like fix this is to actually use the volume controls in the software you use. So say if you're using iTunes, say if you're using Windows Media Player, VLC Media Player, or YouTube, you need to use their volume control, and that will adjust the volume. So that works quite well, but seriously, that is a big problem. That should not happen. So that's the only way you can actually get away with using this on your computer. But then, if you intend to use this on, say, a console, which understandably so does not have any volume controls in the software, this thing just decides to stay on its max volume setting, and it makes the games that you're playing really distorted, and it is just unbearably loud. You definitely don't want to use this during the day, let alone at night. I mean, seriously, volume control is a basic thing. Bluetooth speakers have been doing this for years. How come this one does not allow you to do that? Now, I am really not looking forward to this, guys. As you saw in the thumbnail, I will be testing this with Batman Arkham Knight on my PS4, and I'll give you a sound test, much like I did the same thing with this Bluetooth speaker when I reviewed it. So, what I'm going to do is cut to that part of the video right now, show you what the sound is like, and then just give you my conclusions as to what I think of this speaker. So yeah, as you saw, the sound is absolutely horrible when connected to a PS4, as you can't adjust the volume. It's a very similar affair on your computer, and if you want to play games on your computer, you'll get the same thing, because as I said, you need the software to actually adjust the volume, seeing as these two damn buttons don't do a thing. But when you take into account its price point, especially when you use the discount code in the link below, which will give you a further discount on this thing, there are certain uses for this where people will be satisfied. So if you want to, say, use this purely for your smartphone, that's what I'd recommend you use this for. and then it should work fine. You should be able to get away with it, although the sound is a bit inconsistent. On the plus side though, the battery life is really quite good. It does give you about 7 to 8 hours, as the quoted battery life is 8 hours. But yeah, overall, it's been a very disappointing experience using this Bluetooth speaker. I was actually getting quite excited to actually use this. As I said, I really am quite obsessed with these things. But this is actually one of the worst Bluetooth speakers I've actually used. Alright, so it's time to give the final verdict. So, due to its various problems, the fact the sound does not adjust, the output volume is always at 100%, and the fact that this just misses out on a basic feature called volume control, which apparently this thing has never heard of, it really does drop the score down to a 5 out of 10. Really quite disappointing, but as I said, if you do want to use this primarily for your smartphone, you can get away with it and it'll work fine. Now if you want to see my reviews of my other 2 Bluetooth speakers, links to those will be in the video description below as well, but do keep in mind that this one is about £20–30 cheaper than those. But for my money, I would rather go with the other 2 speakers I've reviewed. Alright, that's it. Thank you very much for watching my review of the 1x1 Bluetooth speaker. A big thanks must go over to them for sending me this over to test and review, and a link to where you can purchase this is in the video description. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch all of you next time. Take care. This video is sponsored by 3 Minute Reviews, the one and only show where you will get the most informative reviews in as little as 3 minutes. I hope you enjoy the show.